Hello to all you patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 415 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the number one outdoor sportsman's podcast in Canada. We're recording on January 15th, 2024.
We need your help to support Canadian Patriot Podcast and all of our fishing endeavors. Please visit patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1 an episode. You could show that you're not a communist by buying a CPP t-shirt for just $24.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com, our homepage, and follow the link on the right.
Before we start angling to bring you the main topic in tonight's show, I'd like to do my favorite segment. It's called What Are We Drinking? And what have you recently completed on the Patriot Challenge? As Liz is not here, we will break with tradition and we will start with Ian. Ian, what are you drinking?
Tonight I'm just getting over a sickness right now and pseudo New Year's resolution-ish, cutting down on my drinking a bit. So it is just tea, hot green tea at that. What can I say? Patriot Challenge. Daily hike every day, lots of water, and I've been actually working on my communications, like ham radio skills, to coordinate efforts in case of random events.
Nice.
Yeah. What about you, Dave?
I am drinking some Pepsi Max and some Signal Hill, as is customary. As far as the Patriot Challenge, I've been starting to work out again, making use of my weights and my bench and getting that going. So, and also coupling that with some dieting. So it's getting going good. Lost a few pounds. Got to keep with it. This past weekend, might have been a bit of a setback. Haven't checked the scale yet, but tried to be a bit of a good boy anyways. So we'll see. But just trying to get back into reasonable shape. Next. Who's next?
Pick someone, Dave.
Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to pick. Give her.
Having some whiskey and some brandy while enjoying a cigar and having a good chat with some friends. Patriot Challenge, getting some steps in, I guess you could say, bringing boxes upstairs, downstairs, bringing pieces of wood upstairs to measure and cut, go downstairs to cut outside because we don't want dust everywhere. Getting some organizing done. Where we moved, there's a little bit less storage, more living area, but storage area is kind of refrained. So we're starting to go through all our stuff and figure out, do we actually need this or not? So probably going to have some things for sale and then just getting ready for the next snowfall, making sure we can get in and out of the house and all that stuff. And drinking the waters, of course. How about you, Gavin?
Nice. I'm drinking, as per usual, Signal Hill and cherry Pepsi Zero because it's fucking delicious. Patriot Challenge, I did kind of fall off the rails a little over the weekend, and I believe there were a few days where I drank more beer than I did water. But back on the water train today, after that for sure. Got to practice a few skills, one of which you'll hear us talk about in depth for the episode. We alluded to it earlier, but I wouldn't want to tell you any fish stories or anything like that. But doing my best, but need to pick it up a little bit. Andrew, what are you drinking this evening, sir?
I am drinking Railway Cities Brewing's Gingerbread Winter Spiced Ale. It's the last of the festive seasonal beer. I will miss it immensely.
Because Lord knows I have not been helping drink that.
Well, not everyone can have a cultured palate, I suppose. I like the festive seasonal beer. It's with many things, like we should have Oktoberfest beer in the fall, and we should have pumpkin spice flavored beer also in the fall. We should have winter flavored beer in the winter. And then we should drink blonde, what do you call it? Lagers and light ales in the summertime because it's hot out. Beer is in seasons.
Oh, yeah.
Like animals.
Diversity. It's our strength.
Right. It's no.
Allegedly.
The other thing.
No.
Variety is the spice of life. That thing?
Yeah. Variety is the winter spice of life. That'll work. I have less fallen off the Patriot Challenge. I didn't read over the weekend. I still managed to do all the other things. I drank all the water. I drank all the beer. I drank all the whiskey.
He did.
Did. Yeah, can confirm.
And I practiced a skill that I am definitely not good at, but we are luring you into the main topic with that discussion.
Yeah.
Many, many fish puns this evening. I'm quite happy about it.
Yeah.
So
Some big dad energy in the chat.
it's
Yeah.
Stuff
yeah.
like,
Allow us
in
to
the
net you
comments.
into this conversation.
So if you do you want to do some feedback there, Pierre, and then we'll talk about fishing.
You bet. We'd love to hear your feedback about the show. Please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. Version of the show is available on iTunes. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, basically just iTunes, because Stitcher and Spotify and stuff of I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm getting notifications from Google Podcasts that someone is listening to it on Google Podcasts, but I never set that up. I don't understand how it works.
I didn't
And
even
I have
know
a
Google
feeling that
Podcast
Spotify,
was a
like
thing.
Joe Rogan's probably worried we're going to take his slot, so he's just talked to Spotify and got us taken off.
I was gonna say what
Yeah.
happened with Spotify. Usually they don't give a shit about anything.
I don't know. Probably not enough content for their demographic.
We need to talk more about shooting elk and taking DMT.
Yeah. And only eating meat
Yeah.
and jujitsu.
Yeah.
We could do that. I think we're going to start with: is eating fish considered meat?
Well, yeah.
It depends on who you ask, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, I'm asking the people that showed up to the show tonight.
It's
Well,
muscle
I-
tissue, therefore it's meat. Like
I would
that-
agree.
That is what it is.
And yet the people that don't
Yeah.
like meat, supposedly the vegetarians like to call themselves the ovo pescos, and they figure that's somehow better, but
I thought
yeah.
I thought they were Episcopalians.
something
That
like
too, but only on Saturdays.
You're trying to say
something.
that vegans
Uh,
eat fish because they think it's not meat?
Vegetarian.
some people that are bi-curious when it comes to meats, yes.
Yeah, so I have had this argument with a
By
person
curious and
I
meat
know
don't
that
go
was
together, buddy.
oh, it does. By curious people definitely enjoy some meat. But yeah, so a friend of mine that is vegetarian, and that's what
Okay.
they call themselves, not a pescatarian, where I would at least be like, okay, you eat fish. Vegetarian is what they refer to themselves as, and they eat fish. And I go, but fish is meat, and they're like, "Well, no, it's not. Like, it's still an animal. So
On
like
what freaking planet? Like, I didn't realize this was
one
a thing.
apparently it's not, but it is. Like, there are people that are confused, but like I would say that compared to mammals and stuff, fish are a lower evolved animal species, whatever you want, like
It's got a
creature
face. It's
thing,
meat.
but
Yeah.
it's still meat.
Say
Right,
got a
like,
face,
it's
it's
muscle
meat.
tissue. It's meat. 100% meat, and it's
Yeah,
delicious.
I would even argue that like some insects and stuff like that could be considered meat.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
Still not eating the bugs though.
I'm not eating them. I'm
not
just,
eating the
I'm
bugs.
just-
I mean, it's not vegetarian. I don't know if it's meat. I don't really know what you would call it, but
if it's got like muscle tissue and things like that, then I would say that like the fleshy bits are meat, because like
mhm.
it might not be a lot of meat, but I would still say that it is closer to meat than a vegetable or a
Yeah.
plant of some kind. But yes, fish. Sorry,
Is it closer to meat
vegetarians.
than a Beyond Meat burger?
Yes,
I'd say there's
100%.
less stuff in it.
100% closer. Yeah.
Clearly, you've never eaten walleye.
You mean pickerel,
Yeah,
right?
No,
Okay,
no, I
Dave.
don't mean. Are we
So-
having this? Are we gonna do this right
settle
now? We're gonna
the-
get it out of the
yes.
way.
Well,
right,
so
listen.
two of the fish that I caught that were legal to keep were walleye.
hmm
And now
You-
Dave can explain to me the difference between a pickerel and a walleye.
Okay, so pickerel, like the scientific term, and like if you look up what a pickerel is in a textbook, it is a offshoot of the pike family. It has yellow speckling on its sides. Its snout looks just like a pike. But it's smaller. But if you go to Ontario
and you talk to some people from Letterkenny or the like, they use the word interchangeably to describe what is actually a walleye. So if you go in Ontario and someone says we're going to go catch some pickerel, what they actually mean is they're going to go catch some
Yeah.
walleye.
And
And
I would
if you
even
say it to an
that, like,
American, if you say
yeah.
it to an American down in the States, if they say pickerel, they'll be like, what the fuck are you talking
they
about?
mean an actual pickerel,
Yeah.
not a walleye.
Yeah,
And I would
so-
say up here in Ontario, most people call it a pickerel.
Especially anybody out from like outside of the GTA.
And yeah, because I mean, when I lived in northern Saskatchewan, like world class fishing right at my doorstep, everything else. And if I would have said I was going to go out for some walleye, they would have laughed at me and said, "What's that?" And because all we caught was pickerel there, which, by the way, has got to be the world's best freshwater fish as far as
100%.
that taste goes.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, weed sharks like pike, I could pass on any given day, no problem. I'd care less if I ever catch one, but yeah, walleye's the way to go.
Hmm. Absolutely. Can attest. I mean, I was catching in Lake Erie all summer as well. I stacked my freezer full of it, and between fish sandwiches and beer battered fish, and it's delicious. Can eat it.
But don't
it's
they have
really
like
good.
a limit of how many you can catch for safe eating guides in Ontario for Southern Ontario stuff? Like if you're on
What do you
Erie
mean?
or...
Like you mean like in possession? Is that what you're
No,
talking
no, no,
about?
no,
No,
no.
if
There's
it
like
comes out of
a
Lake Ontario, they're like, don't eat more than 2 a year because you
yeah, 'cause
die.
the mercury
there-
content and all that stuff.
As far as I know, most of that's been debunked. And I mean, usually the only thing that has high mercury content in it is like big salmon, like plus 30 pounds. But like, you don't keep those. Like those aren't good eating. So
Because they used to actually publish this Ontario safe eating guide, right?
Yes.
yeah, and most of it was debunked. Like it was the same thing with them, saying that ground beef's not good for you. It is. It's good
I would still
protein.
say that, like, I would say for most of the lakes, you probably wouldn't need to worry about that.
Yeah, it's
Only
it's in
really, like,
such small quantities.
Lake Ontario, I'd be the only one I'd be really
Yeah.
worried about. But
The thing is with Lake Erie, like I'm fishing on the thing is with Lake Erie, it's the shallowest of the Great Lakes, and it actually has the quickest turnover of all the water in it, because it's so shallow.
Its
deep.
depth is actually less than the width of a runway.
Yeah, it's only 200
Yeah.
feet at its deepest, I believe, and the average depth of the lake is like 100 feet. It's
Yeah.
not a deep lake. Whereas you compare that to, Lake Ontario. Lake Ontario is like 800
Yeah.
feet down the middle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they still publish that guide. I just looked it up.
Hmm.
What do
Right.
they do? They
To make
say
sure that I
anything?
understand my geography, the Lake Ontario, that's the one Toronto touches?
Yes.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
But,
pump all of the gross things into it.
But yeah, we bring this up because we spent the whole weekend catching walleye, and the other fish that Andrew alluded to was perch. which
Oh,
are
I
also-
yeeted so many perch out the window.
Yeah.
I also
Perch are
caught
so
that guy
delicious
that
too.
does the thong song.
Oh yes,
Cisco?
Cisco, yes.
Yes, yes. Here, I got it. Cisco,
Yeah, Cisco.
the fish that sings the thong song.
I didn't even know there's a fish called Cisco.
Yeah, they
You've heard of
also
Billy Bass. Now
they're
you're gonna
also
hear about
sometimes
this
called
guy.
they're also sometimes called herring. Like it's basically the same fish from what I'm understood. I don't generally keep them.
I don't
but,
know. We caught one. Apparently,
well,
it was legal. So
Yeah,
we
I
kept it.
caught one. I caught one too. My dad wanted it. I'm like, all right, it's all yours.
Apparently, to the Wikipedias, Cisco's are a salmonoid fish.
Does it look like the ones that we were catching?
Yeah.
Okay, then. I thought they
Does
were
the-
more akin to a whitefish because they're like bottom feeders. They got the little sucker mouths on them.
Don't you find it weird that the white ones are bottom feeders as fish?
Hey, who named those?
Yeah. Is that allowed? Are we allowed to say? Yeah. Okay, we'll just carry on.
So where did we stay this weekend, Andrew?
In a cottage in Calendar Bay, which I should put a link to the Calendar Bay song in the show notes in case anyone would like to listen to that, because it is quite catchy after I've had several cocktails.
True.
Was not bad actually.
Yeah.
We ventured into Calendar Bay. We had some of their chicken wings on the first night there.
And the second night there.
Yeah. Did we?
I
Yeah.
ate a lot of chicken wings when we were out eating in town.
Nice.
We also shout out to Dale at Dale's Bait Shop.
Yeah.
He'll probably never hear this, but he's the effing man.
Right, but if somebody could like put this on an 8-track and drop by Dale's and put it in the player so that he could live, because like
So
Dale hooked
Dale's
us up with some bitchin' minnows.
yeah,
Maybe Earl could hook him up or something. I don't know.
I
Yeah,
imagine so.
possibly.
They're probably related.
100%. Little tiny hole in the wall, cash only. Minnows for everybody, and minnows and you know, a lot of times like when guys like that see out of towners, they they'll bullshit you and just send you on a wild goose chase on the other side of the lake or some bullshit. But this guy
What
pretty
you're
much
saying
put
is
us.
that they'll drop a few red herrings.
Oh, hey, nice, keeping it going. Yeah, but he gave us some good tips, told us the depth of water to get to, and
The
so
funniest thing was we go in there and like, I mean, it says that it's bait and tackle, but effectively it's a bait shop. There's very little in terms of tackle on the
Yeah,
wall.
There was a whole wall of tackle.
like a
Yeah, but
4x8
like a-
foot wall, like a very
not a
small
lot.
wall.
But there, like, I imagine it was all of the things that you would have needed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
but-
ice fishing lines, some hooks,
But,
and like a little.
Like
That's it.
7/8
Everything
of the
you need for fishing.
yeah.
Everything you need.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed visiting Dale's bait shop and buying bait from Dale and
On the
not
walking
buying
in,
any
like
of those
the-
pinheads that those city faggots like.
Yeah. Yeah, he made it very clear that the small minnows are only for people from the city because that's what they like to buy, regardless of whether they work or not.
Well, if they don't catch fish with them, they use it as sushi too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, anchovies on the pizza or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The emerald
Little bit of
shiners
salt.
all the way for the local boys is what he said.
Yeah. Pardon me.
Thoroughly enjoyed Dale's bait shop. But
Nice.
yeah. So the
Just be careful with when you show up though, because the sign might say open till 5, but he might be like hacking his last dart for the day and going home at 4:30.
That
possibility.
happens.
Chris was pointing out on YouTube about possession and catch limits, which there are. Also, Nipissing is a weird lake. So we were on Calendar Bay in Nipissing, near North Bay, Ontario, which doesn't fall into the wildlife management unit or the fishing zone or whatever that
The rest of the area
rest of
does.
the area is.
Mhm.
So this lake also had like weird size requirements and its
Slot
full
limit.
own set of.
Yeah, it had a
I'm
slot
sorry, what
limit.
now?
It's called a slot. We had a slot limit we had to follow.
Well, I mean, what you do in North Bay on a Saturday night is your business.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
why limit yourself though?
Yeah.
40 centimeters to 45 centimeters, and apparently,
So just a
Uh,
5-centimeter slot for anyone that's listening. That's
yeah, and actually, the crazy thing is we pretty much there was 10 of us. A couple of us had conservation licenses, so they could keep one. The rest of us could keep 2. So I think the way it worked out between the 6 of us, we could keep 10 altogether, and we just about limited out both days that we were fishing. And we had a couple friends that talked to some people at some gas stations and whatnot on the way out of town, and they said they didn't get nearly as lucky as we did. So I guess we're just awesome. So
yeah.
We were. And
Yeah.
continuing in the trend of awesome, unlike there was a news article yesterday, somebody's ice hut fell through the lake near Calendar Beach.
Mm.
We did not have that problem. We were on 10 inches of beautiful, clear, hard black ice.
mhm.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was to answer Chris's question here, but where we found ice. I mean, we already said we were just in Calendar Bay there on Lake Nipissing, but we normally did this trip later in the year and a little bit further south, and at last minute had to move it
Readjust.
further north to Calendar Bay because there was no ice on the lake we normally fish.
Yeah, we were literally about as like the minimum, like the minimum northness that you have to be for there to be ice in Ontario. It just kept getting warmer as you go down. I mean, obviously by the end
Yeah.
of the weekend, that this big giant, blast of cold that's kind of overtaken North America has rolled in. But as of like Thursday, Friday, you had to be basically North Bay or further north to find ice on anything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We did very nearly have our weekend ruined. Our 2 6-man tents both at one point blew away. Actually, I take that back. At 2 points. At 2 points. At one point, we were sitting inside of them, and that
It
was not a
good,
great
though.
time.
I didn't even spill my beer when that happened though. It just went like right over me, and I still had my beer, didn't spill it.
It was very.
I
very
watched out
lucky.
the window and then proceeded to catch a fish. And then they were all holding this said tent from like blowing away, like literally, like, arms outstretched holding the tent. And I like rolled the window down. I'm like, hey guys, look, I got a fish.
Here we are, like,
Put the
"Fuck
window
off,
back
Dave."
up.
It was not helpful.
Yeah,
Not
Yeah,
even
we,
remotely helpful.
I thought it was funny.
Unlike
Yeah.
Dave, people that are helpful, someone in Calendar Bay with a skidoo, if we find out who they are, I owe you a beer.
Case of beer, but
Oh,
like
easy.
minimum. That was
Chased
amazing.
down our flyaway tents
yeah.
and brought them back
Exercised
to us.
all of the agency
Yeah,
and
just
did
threw-
that for us.
yeah.
So
Folded them up and put some stuff on top of it so they didn't blow away. And yeah,
Yeah.
completely saved our day. Like, honestly, that it could have been real shitty. Those tents are not cheap, even though, there's, somewhat donated by a friend. But the fact of the matter is they're worth a lot of money. So we didn't want to be losing those because
Yeah, really
both
appreciate
days
the
that
random
we-
guy on the skidoo that chased those down.
Yeah.
both days that we were fishing were beautiful mornings, and then in the afternoon, both days some snow squalls
yeah.
rolled in with like 50 an hour winds, and would just get absolutely miserable out when we're trying to pack up to go back into the cottage, like getting all our gear off the ice. So it was pretty annoying in the afternoon both days, getting off the ice.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting off was a little bit of a challenge in North Bay. Something about the slot size. I'm trying to work the two together and I got nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's safe
Um,
to say though that if you go to a place where there's like, inclement weather and it's opening day, and the chances of somebody with a lot of agency being around are a lot higher than say at Young and Bloor or something like that.
Yeah.
Yes, I was
The-
screaming. I was screaming a certain thing when I found that our stuff was still there. I was like, I effing love WYHITE people up here. This is the best ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A very high trust, homogenous community.
Yeah.
Super nice people. And
Honestly,
really,
even if that were on Lake Simcoe, like our shit would have been gone. There's so many idiots on that lake ice fishing. Those tents would have been long gone.
yeah, I'm really glad all of our stuff was there and undamaged, and our tents got retrieved. It was very
Yeah.
good. Upside this year, I feel like I officially graduated to being an adult. I have my own rod and tackle. I did not have to borrow something from a friend this year.
I've had a
Yeah.
rod since I was born. I don't know about you.
Can't fish with that one, at least not
You
for the kind
want
of
to
fish
stick
we're
that
looking
in
for.
a yeah.
Yeah, you ever
It
seen a
is-
mouth? You ever seen the mouth on a walleye?
Oh yeah. Or the gills.
Well,
More worried about sticking it in the opening in the ice with that cold water.
well, I mean, you would stick it in, and then it would immediately retreat. Right?
Yeah,
Like,
turn into
that's-
an innie.
That's
Yeah.
more or less what happened a couple of times that I had to go pee out there.
So I'm quite
Yeah.
pleased to report that my very fine Christmas present from my very fine friend worked out very well for me.
Nice.
I own my own rod. I have my own tackle. I did not have to borrow. And this year, Dad, aka Marty, didn't have to reel in my fish for me, although he did have to help me with the first one because I got up to the hole and then I was like,
What do I
"Shit,
do?
I never got this far. Now what do I do?"
It'll line up the head, if you know what I mean.
Well, like I conceptually understood that, but I'm like, all right, but like, now what?
Yeah.
So Marty let me struggle for a moment while he laughed at me and then helped me get my fish, which we were able to keep so I can eat it later.
Hmm.
Nice. That's good.
If I didn't have Marty, aka Dad, there, I don't know what I would have done. It's
Yeah.
like when you get to the next level in the video game, it's like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
Like, how do I get through the next boss fight?
Yeah.
That and Andrew kind of alluded to it earlier by saying that he yeeted so many fish out of a window. So for those that haven't figured this out yet, the little Velcro windows on the ice, you can just open them and put your fish through them to the outside into the natural freezer.
God's freezer.
Yeah,
Just drop
Yeet
it
'em
in.
right out the window.
Yeah.
yeah, just
No,
works
no
pretty good.
bonking with the wooden mallet ahead of time or required at this point of the year.
I
right?
mean, you could. I definitely there was a point where I picked up a perch, and as we have learned, I am still struggling a little bit with the what do you do once you catch the fish,
Where do
He's
I
trying to
hold
get-
it? Where do I hold it? Everything's sharp.
Everything
and
is
it's
sharp and
slippery.
slippery.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
the walleye have very sharp gills. Like if you hold them by the gills, you can cut your hand wide open too, right?
Yeah, even the perch
Yes,
too.
I've learned
Yeah.
this. So my solution to this problem, when the perch started flopping around again after having been in God's freezer for several hours and was still somehow flopping about, I figured the best course of action was to just like football toss it across the ice to the other ice shelter where we policed up all the fish. Also, I was
Yeah.
told not to throw the fish anymore.
So fillets, are you gonna pan fry the whole works after you gutted them, or how's this what's the plan?
Yes,
Yeah. What's the meal
I
gonna
think
be?
the stuff that's been processed has been filleted.
Yeah.
Yep.
And all of the waste has been wasted. But I don't think they've all been processed. I think what your
Yeah,
dad
we
processed-
basically
Dave's
we
dad
basically
was there,
processed
so-
the whole first day's catch into fillets, and I deboned all the walleye. Basically just zippering all the meat, get to debone them. Works perfect to get that lateral line out, and then we just left the perch pieces intact, obviously. And then on the second day, a lot of the guys kind of like Marty took some, Don took some, my dad took a few more. So everybody's got everybody that wanted some's got fresh fish. I didn't take any. We've got lots in the freezer from all our outings on Lake Erie throughout the summer. So let the other guys have it.
Well, there's another reason to hate pike too, is that Y bone that's you have to kind of
Yeah.
get rid of too. It's just like
Yeah,
oh.
that's why I never really give a crap about catching pike, wanting to catch pike. Same with muskie. Like most guys that try and catch those, it's just trying to, I guess, set a record. Most of those
Yeah.
guys catch and release. I mean, you can't. They're not good eating. They're hard to debone. They're hard to clean.
Yeah, but that's more sport fishing, right? Like
Yeah.
they're trying to catch the big fish, like and say like sturgeon and things like that. It's like
For
they're
the gram.
massive, difficult to catch fish. So it's all about the sport of fishing rather than like,
Filling
getting some
freezers.
enjoyment, but yeah, putting some food on the table, right?
I don't know.
The-
I found the enjoyable part was sitting in the ice hut with my friends, being a little bit too cold and a little bit too wet, and probably a little bit too inebriated for what I was doing.
I mean, it is.
Good thing it was so close to shore.
It is really nice. Like, I don't know if I could live in Calendar. It's a little quiet, but man, is it nice to get away there for a little bit. Like,
I would do anything to have that cottage that we were staying in. That was
it was
If you're
quite
going to do
nice.
It's
anything, you should aim
beautiful.
for a slightly better cottage.
what's wrong with that one? I mean, we'll
Nothing,
get
I'm
the
just saying
water
if
working.
I'm just saying, if you're going to do anything, like set your sights a little higher.
It was nice. The location was great.
Yeah, the location it was perfect.
It was like, I think we have to talk about how strange it was, though. Like, it was perfect for what we needed it for. It was nice, but I mean, it could have been a little like more fancy. But they did have like a weird little bar room with a set of samurai swords and a like porcelain bald eagle statue.
All right.
It's true. Gavin and I
okay.
made that our sleeping quarters.
Yeah,
We're porcelain kitties on the ground too.
yeah, with a
Yeah,
bar,
that was next to
like
my
a,
cot.
like a little
Gavin slept
stand-up
on the bar
bar.
side, and I slept on the kitty cat side.
Yeah. Yeah, little bar, like stand-up portable bar thing with 3 like blue velvet bar stools. Like it was a strange decor.
It was seemed a little
And-
boomerish.
Like an adequate sized fireplace that somehow you couldn't fit logs into.
The
Like,
weirdest,
The
the
dimensions of
weirdest
the
wood
outside
burning
were
fireplace. The firebox was way too small for how big the fire.
Place
Yeah.
was
Like the
essentially a
Wood
cage.
exterior
stove?
dimensions didn't
Yeah.
match up
Like
with the interior
the
dimensions.
exterior dimensions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
the combustion
outside didn't
chamber
match
was
the inside.
much too small.
I think he got it off Wish. Pretty sure.
Like it,
But-
you could
It
barely
did get
fit
up to
two-
6 million degrees the one night though, so
Yeah. Despite the fact that you could only burn like 1.5 logs at a time, it did pump out a fair amount of heat.
Me and my dad played the smart game and went in the basement.
But during the day, so you were a little too cold, a little too inebriated, a little too wet, and you still function. So in other words, fight like you train. Train how you fight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
more or
Something like
more or
Yeah,
less.
so-
Something like
yeah,
that.
Yeah, seems reasonable.
Hook,
Yeah.
hook,
I mean,
hook and fish
it's a
across the
vacation, so
frozen
it was
lake.
like there's some drinking involved while I'm on vacation, or Monday
Yeah.
night, or
Or other
Hard
days of the week
times.
that end in Y.
And some Cards Against Humanity were also
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
mandatory.
That could be a fun game.
Yeah.
Again,
I,
especially when you got my dad playing apparently, because he just
just make up words.
make up words
Yeah.
or he's kind of like a 5-year-old. He kind of just sounds out the word that he doesn't know what it is, so he just kind of sound it out. So
Yeah.
apparently bazongas are actually pronounced bazongas. So that was then the word of the weekend.
we really need to design like a t-shirt with him with like one of those like table of the element, like the little squares, and it just says Bazon Gas on it, and like
Or maybe like a Burn-Zomatic, kind of
Yeah.
logo,
Okay,
but turned into a Bazon
this
gas.
could be good.
Yeah.
This could be good. The symbol, the periodic symbol for it's got to be like 2 zeros or 2 O's or something like that, or a
make them
zero
look
and an
like
O.
boobs. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
boobs.
but-
So
But buddy, this can be done in about 5 minutes.
all
Just
right,
saying.
make an X large and sold. We'll give it to my dad at next year's retreat.
We'll,
Yeah, we'll make it happen. I'll get some more details because I don't remember shit. But yeah, we can make that happen real fast and real easy.
yeah. Oh, man, it was funny. Yeah. That and it was I got a couple of expansion decks, so there was some current event stuff.
Speaking of current events,
Solid
I
segue.
did that segue just for you, Andrew.
Yeah.
I didn't write the show notes, so somebody's got to help me out. What are we talking
Well,
about?
shit, I wrote them, but I didn't read them because I thought we were just going to talk about ice fishing the whole time. But
Well, I mean, we could, but I've kind of run out of things. Like, we fished,
But-
I drank, I have my own stuff. I'm going to go ice fishing again next month unless the lake melts.
Well, we can
you're
start
not
about
going
kids.
Well, let's start with that one there.
We can talk about some kids that
the
will soon
black
be on
pilling
ice.
thing right out of the
Yeah, kids that will soon be on ice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you want to cover this one?
Yeah, if you do that, I'll
it's your
read up
home
on the
state.
next one, yeah.
You break the
Yeah,
good news.
Please elaborate.
Okay, so I came across this article about a week and a half ago, and it's just so ridiculous here. Like, BC's always been. I don't know if you guys noticed. There's a lot of hippies in BC. It tends to be a little commie sometimes,
A little.
but
A little.
Okay.
And sometimes.
yeah. So now they're offering free to kids under the age of 16, free fentanyl, paid for by the taxpayer, in order to ensure a safe supply. Now, of course, we did cover carfentanil in the long lost episode, long time ago, the dangers and stuff. And at no point during COVID did less people die from fentanyl overdoses than actual COVID cases. Like, I mean, it's always been a huge killer in BC every month for the last 15 years or 10 years anyway.
It's like the worst kept secret down over there.
Oh yeah, like
Yeah,
even
I
if
have
that's
crazy.
questions.
yeah. So
Yes.
yeah, so well, before we get to it, I'll give you the best part. So not only are they going to give free fentanyl to the kids, and the kids can go into a doctor's office or anywhere, and basically a hospital, and ask for it. The parents are not allowed to be told.
What? How's that a thing?
So last I remember, for me to go to the doctor and not have my parents there for something was 16 when I was younger. I'm not that old, but like, so what's the age now?
So
Where,
now it's
like,
it's 12 to 16. This is one of those gifts that keeps on giving, I guess, from COVID, is that it started with the whole vaccine thing. So now kids could go out and get vaccinated without their parents' consent. Now they've expanded it, and so kids between 12 and 16 are considered emancipated minors automatically. And if the parents don't want them on fentanyl, but they want to give it a try because it sounds cool, they can literally go in there and say, "Hey, I'm an addict. I want some free fentanyl because I want a safe supply," and they'll give it to them.
How
It's like,
does
how
a
do you-
12-year-old decide they want to start doing fentanyl? And at what point does fentanyl ever sound cool?
That's what I was just gonna ask. I mean, how?
I don't know. Like, I mean, the thing is like they're
I
just
have
trying
never
to-
once woken up and been like, you know what I think I'd like to try today? Fent.
Yeah, I would like to turn into a zombie, possibly
All the-
kill myself.
all the
Why
cool
the fuck
kids are
not?
doing it. Maybe you want to try
Well, I
some new
mean,
dance
everybody
moves.
has those dark thoughts, Dave, but like,
yeah,
Fair, but I mean,
but not acting on those dark
how,
thoughts.
how
is
do
the
you?
thing,
Yeah, but
right?
how do? Yeah, where do they get the idea to be like, this will make me feel better? I need this. I mean,
I'm
the,
12 and
the
I'd
only
like to
reason I
do
can think of that
fat.
why I would want that is for nefarious and or like, I want to get high reasons. You know what I mean?
I'm
Do you
just,
Well,
get
this
high on
is
fentanyl? I thought it was
all,
just like a
Well,
massive tranquilizer
get
kind of a
fucked
thing.
up on
Yeah, you
I
can like
Fair
digress.
enough.
and it's
fentanyl in the proper dosage or whatever can give you
I thought it was like a
certain
bitchin'
hallucinations.
painkiller
yeah,
Yeah,
I've had it twice. And both
for the
times it
pain.
was in the hospital for pain. And basically, like, it works so well that I don't even remember how well it works. Like, it wasn't like it was a
yeah,
fun time where like
yeah.
alcohol is a painkiller, right? Like, you drink it and things don't hurt so much. But like, as evidenced this weekend and this evening and every other fucking Monday night, alcohol is fun. I remember it being a
Yeah.
fun
Most part.
time and all of that. Like, I get
Mostly.
some enjoyment from
Mostly.
it, right? I don't remember shit from the 2 times they were giving me fentanyl. Like, it was
Okay,
just
so
like, I-
follow-up question to the why would minors ever want fentanyl? Because I'm still
Yes.
unclear there. How is the government procuring, like, are we giving youths medical grade fentanyl like out of the hospital, like
Yeah,
meds
100%.
cabinet?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's medical grade fentanyl, just of course, just
Yeah.
like Adderall is medical grade meth or whatever, right? So I mean,
It's government regulated
yeah.
and government produced.
Well, China
Fentanyl.
produces, I think, the world's biggest chunk of fentanyl, I
Well-
think, and we just buy it off China and
Fine, yeah.
check it for
That's-
purity and all that stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
But the thing is, why
Yeah,
are we
but-
enabling the bad behavior at all? I still understand this.
Right,
well,
so-
and why aren't
I
we
haven't even
telling the
got to that.
parents
Why
about
are
it?
we enabling thank you, that piece, Gavin.
Yeah.
Why are we enabling the bad behavior and not including the
Like,
parents? Because
I
Well,
remember
so
a time not
it's-
long
it-
ago where I had to disclose my medical information to random people when I wanted to go
Eat.
and buy food
sit
and
down
things like
and
that.
eat. Yeah, sit down
Right?
and eat. And I mean, I got a feeling this whole goes on to a whole other side tangent and everything about like, there's way too many TV shows, movies out there where this stuff is popularized. Too many douchebaggy kids that think, mom and dad don't like me. There's no parent group. There's no nothing. Like we're raising fucking the craziest degen generation out there.
Well, no, I would
We're
say that
like-
we're not raising it, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
Well, okay,
yeah,
so
right,
that's what
okay.
I had this discussion last night. Somebody took a umbrage to it, but it was, I said basically it's the destruction of the nuclear family, right?
Yeah.
Like Yuri
Yep.
Bezmenov wept because absentee parents are creating kids
Yeah.
that are like screaming for help and or want to like make things better.
Yeah.
And some of these parents
And-
don't care. Some of them, are trying to parent their kids while they're both working full time, everything else. But
and I mean I can say that, or I will say per se, in our situation, I mean we've been very fortunate where one of us is home more often than the other, but we have both had jobs, and I'm like, there are some compromises you make, but you can't just blame like, well, I had to work, I didn't know. Like if you wanted to have
Well,
kids and you
it-
wanted and you need to work, like there's a give and take. Like you can't just have kids to have the tax credits and not be responsible for how the
Well-
upbringing of those offsprings are.
or
Well,
have
and
someone
like-
have the government raise their kids.
Right? Like you need to raise contributing members of society. Right? You need to raise not little assholes.
Well, and
They
here
might
you
grow up to
have
be big
this-
assholes, but you can't raise them as little assholes.
No, and here you have a program where when someone goes and asks for this is a moment where the parent should be involved,
100%.
and you're removing that. Like,
Yeah.
so
And-
how
and-
like how are they
and even-
supposed to parent even if they're completely like oblivious and don't give a shit, then it's not going to
Yeah.
matter even if you tell them or not. But for the few that are just like not the greatest but aren't completely absentee parents, here is the opportunity to put them in touch and get them in the loop of what's going on with their
Or-
kid, and they're just like, nah, fuck it.
And even
or
then,
the parents are completely involved and it's just like their kids
Yeah, kids are
get,
sneaky. Like,
kids are sneaky and their friends are saying whatever, and because your parents are kind of involved and nice, you get a little bit of freedom, and now they start going down this weird path where they're good,
Yeah.
open conversation with parents, like not necessarily best friends, but they know they can go to their parents and everything. Like you're raising someone you can have a conversation with, and you're trying to teach them how to have some common sense and address situations, stand up for themselves, and not be douchey to people that don't deserve it. And
And as
you're
well as further
cutting
proof,
it out.
but as further proof, they shouldn't even be getting involved with this at all as a government
Yeah,
agency.
100%.
So
Uh,
well, the
Well, they
first
also
problem is
shouldn't be like selling narcotics or
well,
giving them
okay,
away
so that's
for
where I was
free.
going.
Like,
It's
I
like
mean,
so they're giving it away for free, which basically means that we're paying for their drugs.
Yeah.
But the problem is that I guess what would even be worse is if the government was charging the kids work, because then the kids would be like committing petty crimes in order to pay the government money for their fentanyl. So
Yeah.
I don't
yeah,
know
but I
what's
would at
worse.
least rather that if they're going to do it, I would at least rather they have to pay for it, so it's not me paying for their degeneracy.
Yeah,
They're
Well,
at least
or
covering their
the
own.
government could just stay the fuck out of it and just not get
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah.
I just don't
Like,
understand. I don't know where like they get. Who said that it was a good idea? What focus group said this was a good fucking idea? Like,
Well,
we're talking about
obviously,
BC, buddy.
yeah,
We're
well,
talking
some
about
liberals in
BC.
downtown Vancouver, I'm sure thought it was a great idea, but the
Yeah.
I think with they're focusing on the safe supply issue, safe supply, but in BC they've been focusing on safe supply for so long they haven't given a single thought to rehab, getting them off of the drugs at all, like any sort of like
So what they're probably trying to do is stop the lineups at the ATMs at the first of the month by moving the lineup to the hospital where they can get it for free.
yeah, but I
Right,
mean, it's
like-
it's so one sided. Like they have not taken care of anything other than safe supply, and then given these shooting galleries, it's not getting any better, right? Like, no, I know fentanyl's not a shooting gallery thing, but still, it's just like I don't understand why the government thinks they're fixing things with this.
And the craziest part is like
Maybe they don't.
the solution for this is like, fine, come get it from us for free, compared to like, how about we try and figure out what the root cause of sending people down that path, right? Like there's 1,000 different things we could, or I don't want to say I want to support, but I would object less of taxpayer money going towards programs for people that want to line up for this, just being like, I don't know, maybe they're just a troubled 16-year-old that gets picked on and thinks this is the best thing.
Yeah,
Right?
so give
And
them
just
therapy instead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, right. I mean, call it therapy, call it whatever, right? Like,
Yeah.
they just might need to be, hey, like you might get picked on now, but like, what are you interested in? Let's get you more in touch with people and start going down the path where you have friends that are more interested and you guys can help support each other, push each other towards goals and everything, to be contributing members of society, compared to like line up at the hospital and don't worry, we won't tell mommy and daddy you're here.
Yeah.
Like,
Or at least if it
I
was
would
like
support that.
Like every time you go to get a free hit, you have to sit through, some sort of counseling or whatever. And every subsequent
Yeah.
one is more like another hour of counseling.
Yeah.
So that like
This is your-
eventually you just either stop going and getting the free drugs, or maybe the counseling kicks in and you can get some help.
Something, but it's just puzzles me that it's just like, fine, come get it from us, because then we at least know that most of those harmful chemicals that cause
Well,
extreme
except that like the
damage
problem with
past the-
fentanyl isn't so much that it's being cut with other things, it's that it's fentanyl in and of itself, it is already a crazy super strong drug.
Yeah,
And it's
well,
so easy to overdose on.
and if they give him 6 pills and say only take one at a time, okay, and then the next time they need a bigger hit, they take 2, and then boom, OD,
Yeah.
right?
and so you paid for them to overdose, and now you're paying for all the medical care for them to hopefully survive from it, and then that crazy train just goes back, right? Like, so now they've been off of fentanyl for a while and they want to go back to it, so now their tolerance has gone down.
Yeah.
Right, no different than most people that you
Yeah,
have heard or whatever that do drugs. They get off of it for a while and they go back trying to get to that same dosage and their thing has gone down. So I'm like,
yeah, it's
like,
clown world, man.
Well,
Wow.
Andrew said something interesting there too. Maybe that the government doesn't care what happens to these kids or something.
I'm
Or-
beginning to think that this may
like-
be being done on purpose.
Yes, I
Like in
believe
some
so.
sort of
You
experiment.
think?
like, I just don't. So I don't understand how you could say, "Come get it from me," and want to not care about it, compared to why
No, no,
use
I'm
all the
saying
extra.
I'm not saying that it's a care about thing. I'm saying like I'm beginning to wonder if this is being done with malice, like
Purpose.
with
Yeah,
intent.
malice.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
purposely to
okay,
kill kids.
okay,
Kill the,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
kill a generation off.
or to push
yeah.
parents into a state where they want to lash out.
Either.
Or
But I'm
to
beginning like this. This
Lash
is
out against
beginning to
what?
seem like a systemic
Yeah.
problem that like the government is doing this in a top-down, organized kind of a fashion. I'm beginning to feel like this is intentional.
Yeah, I mean, how do you take it any other way, really? I mean,
yeah, like
it's so
it-
in your
you're-
face, like anti-human.
Well, it's anti-human, it's
so
simply.
fucked.
anti-family, it's
It's,
everything.
It's everything. Yeah.
And you're increasing dependence on the state,
Yeah.
which again, part of the whole not Kalergi plan. But what were they talking about? Their rules for radicals, Saul Alinsky, right? They all wanted dependence on the states. Karl Marx talks about the same thing, right? And so if Big Daddy government is giving you your free supply, and you got like the hardworking horses pulling the wagon there, and the rest of the people are just zombieing along. I guess
Like,
that's
so-
the ideal society, right?
So I think maybe the solution to this is maybe we should
Guns,
penalize
lots of guns.
No, so even I mean, don't disagree with that. 100%. Lots of guns, stored, freedom seeds, and everything. But like maybe we should desensitize having 4 kids and 5 baby daddies. Like, there's so many incentives to be a degen. Um, you know, support all the welfare systems. The more kids you have, the more child support you can get because there's so many incentives to not have a loving, growing family nowadays, right? Like to
Well, there's
be
incentive to
with the
have a
mother of your
growing family, but not
Just-
in the way that we should have a growing family.
right.
Yeah.
So like like it's almost unheard of nowadays. Like my daughter in school, like well, not so much right now because I don't know many of the kids, but like it was so. She came home and said like people are asking questions because mommy and daddy are still together. I'm like, she's in 4th grade.
Mhm.
Like, I'm not
Okay.
saying we should veto marriage or whatever, but I'm like, there are so many incentives to have 2, 3 kids, be on welfare. You're getting child support. Even if you want to be a contributing member of society, the court system does not support males in 90% of custody cases, 90% of child support payments. I actually worked with a person that had 2 kids with someone, and one morning she said, "Fuck you, you're on your own," and walked out. And it took him 5.5 years before he found a lawyer that would even attempt to go after the mother for child support because she decided to say this was not a thing anymore. So single father for 5.5 years, raising 2 daughters, trying to make ends meet, all this stuff. And I'm like, switch those roles. Like it'd be all over Facebook, all over the news. Person would be in jail. And I'm just like, maybe we should incentivize or disincentivize a system where those things are not supported, not financially sustained, and not incentivized in any way with my tax-paying fucking money.
Well, the state does incentivize the breakup of the nuclear family, and here's why. If you have one person working and one person at home, you cannot income split, right? And the one person pays the higher tax rate. If you're divorced and you pay alimony, alimony is tax deductible, and you both basically get paid the lower income tax rate down the road. Of course, if you're retired, you can income split your pension, whatever. That's irrelevant. But back when this came to child rearing times, the government actually encourages people to not be in a nuclear family, because if you had one person at home and one person working, you're going to pay more tax.
Yeah, but it's so fucked up because like the crazy amount of extra. I mean, obviously the government doesn't care about balancing a fucking budget, but like if you go back to when, let's just go traditional roles. Dad worked and the mom stayed at home, raised the kids, cooked canned meat, all this stuff. There were no such programs as 90% of everything we're talking about now. There were none of that. So I would feel more comfortable with my tax money going towards some things, but maybe not 90% of the programs that go
Well, we
along
didn't-
now. Like,
We didn't need a lot
Yeah.
of those programs back then because there was a parent that was home that was parenting and looking after the child.
and
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 any
you s-
program we did need would basically be, helping supplement some of the income from the mother, which would be the one that would be generally at home, staying at home. So you would like those child benefits and this and that, where you're getting money for the
Yeah.
child, would help offset that a little bit and everything else. But yeah, like we've been saying, like we've de-incentivized that, and we've turned that into almost like a profit center, where
Well,
it's
and
profitable to have the kids.
and
but they've
not
also
work.
they've also actually they doubled the workforce by getting women to go and have a professional career, which of course drives
Yeah.
down wages because you've got double the labor pool to draw from, and yeah, that's just the way it is. So like that's they've got a higher, like a quote unquote higher tax revenue stream because you get more people contributing,
Yeah.
so to speak. But it's almost like it's intentional over time here.
Yeah, and it's
Does
just,
feel a
it
little
just
bit intentional.
yeah, it just
Yeah, it's definitely
enrages
government.
me, but there's not much I can do about it.
It's government stepping in and doing dumb shit. But speaking of government stepping in and doing dumb shit, I have another article for you. They are not just parenting the drug addict children in BC. Apparently, Toronto, of all places, shocking, I know, is
Yeah.
stepping in and telling people that certain tobogganing hills, because we're in tobogganing season now, are verboten.
That nuclear
Tobogganing
family's
is
fun.
permitted at 29 hills at 27 parks in the city, and that is it.
45 hills
so-
have been banned.
Yeah,
So you're not allowed to just toboggan anywhere you want in Toronto. You're only
No.
allowed to toboggan on permitted hills.
What's
Yes.
the penalty if I go to one of the hills not
well, you
deemed?
will be fined.
How
With
much?
what? With what?
Am I allowed to build a hill in my backyard?
I'll give my
still
child
use that?
$20 to pay the fine.
If your backyard is large enough to build a hill in Toronto, I don't think you have to worry.
Okay, valid. I was
But-
not taking into consideration Toronto specifically
Yes.
compared to where I live currently, but carry on.
Yes, in 2017, so several years ago, the city implemented a toboggan and hill inspection program. Talk about stupid government programs right there. I just
Wow,
picture,
I
like,
wish
That's not the
Back off.
most.
City
That's not the
people
most
onto, like-
nanny state thing you've ever fucking heard
well,
in
yeah,
your
but like
fucking life.
government workers just on like a toboggan going down the hill, going and crashing into things and going, nope, that's not safe. But so
How do
they're
I get
worried.
that fucking job? Let's
Well,
be
they
Very,
honest.
haven't-
it's
they haven't
very
registered the
COVID-esque.
They haven't registered the toboggans yet, or you haven't got a toboggan license yet, right? So
Yeah,
it's
not
like not
yet,
quite the
not
TV
yet.
level, but
Yeah, getting there.
Boy, have you got a license for that toboggan?
So what if I take a GT down the hill? Is that still considered tobogganing? Because
The
like that
hill-
thing's got
yeah.
a steering wheel.
I
Yeah,
think you
no.
should take it to court and find out.
No, there is no tobogganing. So they have to approve the hill. So they're saying that like, hey, some of these hills might be banned this year, but they might be not banned next year. Like it's all up to this whole
Like if
toboggan
I was-
hill inspection group.
Like if you read the article, it's like, oh, there's a tree at the bottom of one of them that like might be a potential hazard for kids to run into. It's like, well, first of all, running into things and hurting yourself is part of being a kid. Secondly, like if you're so stupid to run into the tree, like
how else are they gonna learn?
yeah, how are you gonna
Well-
learn, right? Like get hurt
Well,
and
I
then
mean,
like I
I
I
used
don't
to
understand.
toboggan down like just a random hill not
Yeah.
far from my house that had all kinds of trees on it.
Never mind like tobogganing. We built cool
That-
jumps. I almost broke my back
Yeah,
several
no one's
times.
stopping that from happening, right? Like they're not like they're still gonna be building cool jumps. Like,
It just sounds.
but-
It's just very reminiscent of all the COVID bullshit, where it's
well,
just
yeah,
like,
it's
you
the
can't
nanny
skate
state.
here, you can't do this, you can't do that, and it's just like,
Yeah,
can we just let kids be kids for 5 minutes these days? Like, I
Yeah.
just
Oh,
blows my mind.
Well, yeah,
It's puzzling.
yeah. 45 hills in Toronto have been banned.
I didn't even know they had
Toboggan.
that many hills.
Well, I mean,
That's just because they piled all the snow on the side of a building, so from the third
Yeah.
floor you can slide down.
Yeah.
Window. The bathroom. It's a bathroom window. You can't sneak
yeah,
out of it.
the
but
city has said
it's a
that
thing.
designated toboggan hills must have a clear path from the top to the slope to the bottom without any obstruction or hazards, such as trees, ditches, trails, or fencing. And the designated hills are inspected regularly to ensure safety.
So I guess a road at the bottom where the cars are going back and forth is probably a bad idea too. Then, right?
Yeah.
All right.
So can we go back to natural selection?
Clearly
No,
not.
they'd rather just give you fentanyl.
Well, in an interesting move, Oshawa voted down banning tobogganing at certain hills. And also Hamilton this year, who did have a ban on a number of hills, decided to remove the ban. Yet Toronto is doubling down and going, nah.
Surprise,
Okay.
surprise.
Yeah, well,
Nanny
have you
steak
met
and a
most
natty
of the
steak.
people that live in Toronto?
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, it's fucking tobogganing. Like,
Like it's a rite of passage.
it's
As
it's
a
Canada.
child.
It's Canada.
Yeah,
It's
it's
one
a
of the
rite
things
of
you can
passage.
do as a child in the winter.
That should be on the $5 bill, not whatever the fuck we got on it now.
Or pictures of Trudeau on the passport. Same thing.
Ugh.
Well,
Well,
Does
that's,
any other country's leader appear on their passport?
well, I'm
probably
sure
North
if,
Korea.
yeah, I was gonna say
Like, country comes to mind.
I would
North
say
Korea
that, like,
is the one I would say. Yeah,
it's either in really amazing countries or really shitty countries where your leader puts their face on everything.
yeah. But there's one thing we can learn from North Korea or the Bush family is that just because your daddy was in charge doesn't mean you should be either. So
It's true.
uh,
But I mean,
but if you follow tradition,
so do you think if the Bushes came from BC that Junior would be on the free fentanyl?
no,
Or-
so it'd be pronounced bushel if it came from BC because they're known for their weed.
I mean, I know he had a cocaine habit, but I wasn't sure. Like, would he be into fentanyl because it really didn't exist at the time, or would he just stick to cocaine?
I just
So
stick
it
to
might
the
be his
stuff.
it might be his kid or his grandkid that'd be running in future elections.
I'm trying really hard to intern. And as far as I can see, the passport for the Democratic People's Republic of Korea does not have any photos of any of their leaders in it. It does have some cool photos of architecture, though.
I
Well,
mean,
I was just saying that because I was like, that's like the biggest communist fucking country in the world.
he's so far.
Here, I thought it was Canada.
So-
Yes.
Yeah.
For now, we still have rights. For the listeners, I'm doing the quotation marks.
We don't even
Um,
have the right to toboggan down a fucking hill in this country.
We have privileges that are clearly being taken away regularly. So
Like,
So also,
it's
so
a hill
if
that's
doing
just there, and I could just go and like not even buy a toboggan, but like literally just take anything and slide down the hill, and I'm not allowed to do that.
So if you do it on a trash bag, technically that's not a toboggan.
No, but it's still
That's
tobogganing.
littering.
it's
No,
more.
if as long as I don't leave the trash bag there, it's not littering.
Still tobogganing.
So, like, so I guess illegal, or if there's a fine associated with it, means it's just legal
For a price.
as long as you're willing to pay it.
Well, I mean, that's how
Well-
most fines work.
And then Paulius sled
Yeah.
vaunt or something would come along and say you're just using a loophole. So they'd get all pissed off with it. So
Well,
Maybe we should get some people on this.
But don't fret, people of Toronto. There is a map that you can do that shows you the authorized
Oh,
tobogganing
God.
locations.
that's only 2 articles and we killed an hour, right?
Well,
Well,
Yes.
I mean, ice fishing took up a half hour.
And also, the government is bad.
Turns out
Kel Surprise.
yeah. So get better at ice fishing.
Yeah, because you're gonna need to be able to feed yourself in the ensuing coming collapse.
And if you go far enough out onto the lake, there's a lot less government.
You can even say racial slurs out on the lake, and nobody will hear you.
Well, if there's no one there to hear them, did you even say them?
Precisely.
If the fish cops aren't there, is it poaching?
What if you don't get caught?
Again, poaching just means legal as long as you're willing to pay the fine.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
a
not-
pretty big
I'm not
fine, though.
willing to pay the-
that
That's
is
the-
definitely a much more richer tax than I have.
But,
The ability to pay.
still, right? Like at the end of the day, all
Yes.
laws and everything is just technically it's legal as long as they're willing to pay.
Yes.
I don't know about all laws, maybe the bulk of them, but in
Well,
any
I mean,
case,
The ones
send
where
us
it's
an
just a
email.
fine, yeah.
Send us an email. Let us know which laws you'd like to break in a hypothetical novel that you're working on.
Yeah.
Or just get drunk enough and record it. You'll be all right. You'll be safe.
I mean,
in the
if you want
hypothetical
to,
novel,
if you want to send in a hypothetical voice memo, like attach it to an email and send it, I'll figure out how to fix it so we can play audio in the show again.
Yeah, we'll do it.
yeah, Earl, if your
Send an
grandson
8-track,
is
yeah.
listening, get him to send in a cassette tape
Yeah.
of laws that you would hypothetically break in your manifesto. I think Earl would write a manifesto.
I feel like Girls a Manifesto kind of a guy.
I have a feeling manifesto is too fancy of a word.
But it's
It's
appropriate.
right up his alley. It's right up his alley.
He may not
Stop
call it that, but
Stop.
I really hope his
Ah.
dog's doing okay.
I miss Earl.
Yeah. I swear
if
that
you miss
Dale is
Earl-
related to Earl, yeah.
Let's have
Dale
in
and
the
Earl might
chat.
be the same person. If you want to get in touch with Dale or Earl, you should join us on Gilded and see if there's anybody there worth talking to.
Yeah. We
Well,
might even give the secret location of our ice fishing trip so that you too can catch all of the fish.
Or
No,
we
we
might
won't.
give you
No,
the
we won't.
place in Calendar Beach where ice
Shit went through the
shacks
ice.
fall through the yeah.
Yeah, well, I tell you where not to fish anyways. Yeah.
Let's go around the thing. Dave, where can everybody find you?
Find me on Instagrams at Diesel6223. I'm still on there, not as active through the winter time, but I will be going to, as you can read here, Niagara NRGC. There's going to be a, what are they calling it? Some sort of winter madness
Like
3-gun.
Winter 3-gun.
Yeah, winter
Yeah.
3-gun madness of some sort. And signups are this Friday. Should be a good time in February there. So I'm
When-
looking forward to that.
I was
I'll be
gonna say,
using the new CZ while there, so should be a good time.
I was gonna say, Dave, if you can hold off on buying your new pocket knife until then,
Hmm.
NAS has an excellent selection of pocket knives in store that you can put your hands around and make sure that they feel good.
Oh gosh, okay. I can definitely hold off. Yeah, let's do that
Yeah.
then.
I mean, I've got a loaner if you need like a you know
Immediate.
a surrogate knife until
I
then.
still got my piece of junk Mac Tools one, like super utility,
go.
but so I can make that work for now. But yeah, that's a good
Well,
idea. Let's do that.
I would pop in there while you're out there, and I'll try and at the very least come and join you for some tasty wings.
Sounds good, sir. I like that idea. It's a good plan. All right, it works.
Ian, where can everybody find you?
Recording Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern on Canadian Prepper Podcast on YouTube. Podcast is available on iTunes. Also, I decided to take over a couple groups on the spicy version of Facebook, which is Gab, and the two groups are Ham Radio Canada and Homesteading and Preparedness Canada. So yeah, you can find me on there.
So you're saying
I
I'm
had
going
the
to have to figure out how
preparedness
another
things.
thing works so that I can
Yeah.
be sociable.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
like it is a true bastion of free speech. So trust me, it gets spicy.
Can I say
Well,
gamer words?
Yes, you can. You can say whatever you like.
Preparedness is being racist and some sort of like extremist, so
Yeah, we fit right
makes
in.
sense. Yeah.
All right. Pierre, what Gab groups are you in?
Yes.
Yeah, good answer.
Yes. all the groups.
Okay. You can find me most Sunday nights as well as Ian on Canadian Prepper Podcast, where I talk about less mediocre things that I'm willing to talk about on Monday nights. Off the wall customizing at Gmail. We're probably on socialist medias. I don't know which one anymore because they drive me bonkers. But if you need a t-shirt made, some laser engraving done on a piece of wood or a piece of metal or leather at that point, we can, or a gun stock, we can probably make it happen. So off the wall customizing a Gmail or figure it out for yourself. If you need it that bad, you'll find me.
That is a marketing strategy. Gavin, where can everyone find you?
Well, when I'm not on the ice, which is quite frequently, you can find me on Instagram, Urbix GTA.
Like
You
by
can't
ice,
find-
do you mean the BC ice?
No, I don't.
Not the
I don't-
chemical
I don't
version.
do that. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
actual
Just-
ice. Yeah,
Okay, just wanted to clarify
yeah.
for the listener.
You can't find me on social media, so stop asking. Yes, I realize there are imposter accounts on Facebook. They're not me. Kudos to whoever runs them. I do have this little web store though. If you want to buy some tactical nylon first aid goodies, orders go out Monday through Friday unless I'm away ice fishing, in which case they go out when I get back. And I still haven't fixed the shipping rate, so I lost money on a tactical hanger this week because it cost me more to ship the tactical hanger than the profit on the hanger. So
And the shipping costs you
So
more.
please don't buy any tactical hangers until Andrew fixes that. Especially don't use the code that he's about to give you.
yeah, definitely don't use discount code Patriot when you're checking out, because it turns out that for whatever reason, shipping a tactical hanger just completely messes with the Canada Post shipping price. And God, don't try to UPS it because that was twice as much.
Ooh.
So,
Try FedEx, they're not too bad.
well, we'll have to try that. So, yeah, if you're shopping at RagnarokTactical.ca, we should enunciate the words. Beer is hitting like ice.
Which one?
Use the discount code Patriot at checkout. Save yourself some money. I have to apologize to Rod Giltaca. We tried to get Rod out. There was a serious miscommunication about what happens in North Bay. Rod, I think, is in Ontario, but we were not able to get linked up.
Yeah, bad signal out on the ice. Yeah.
At least he's not on fentanyl.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we all need to escape from BC.
That's true.
For our listeners out there in podcast land, I'd like to remind you that you're a small fringe minority with an incorrect definition of walleye.